Hi, and welcome everyone to Ethereal Encounters Unveiled. Today we are broadcasting live on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 on the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM in beautiful New Orleans. Hello everyone. I hope everyone is doing well today and every day. And just a little housekeeping before we get started. As everyone knows who watches my podcast and hopefully subscribes as well, because that really helps support us. We typically do lives on Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and those are always lives. And previously, I was doing pre-recordings on Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But now I've opened up Fridays to both lives and pre-recordings. And the reason for that is I love doing lives. I love having you guys jump in the chat and join us for some fun conversation. And I also like to have pre-recordings because lots of times the guests can't make it for whatever reason during those time slots. So now I'm going to have both options as well as adding lives on Friday because we have such a huge roster of guests, and the Thursdays got booked up all the way into February of next year. So now I'm going to have more opportunity, and yay, I'm so super excited about that. So while you're here, please be sure to share and subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. That would mean the world to me if you do. So let's get started. And just to reiterate, welcome to Ethereal Encounters Unveiled. Today we are not broadcasting live. Today is a Friday show, and it's one of our pre-recordings, but nonetheless, it's still as awesome, and it'll be shared all over the same platform. And of course, you're listening to United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, which is 105.3 on the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM in New Orleans. And today we're diving into a topic that redefines our place in the universe. We've all looked up at the night sky and wondered if we're alone, truly. Some of us believe we are, and some of us don't think that's true. But what if the answer isn't about waiting for them to find us, but us reaching out to them, which many folks are doing, many scientists, and of course, devoted followers. My guest today is a pioneer in the field of consciousness and reality. We've had her on the show a few times before, and I'm always so thrilled to have her back. She's such an authority on many, many topics, including, of course, the Mandela effect, and that is Cynthia Sue Larson. So yay, super excited to have her back. Today, she's going to show us how we can use our minds and not spaceships to jump into new realities, where contact is not only possible, but it's a natural extension of our own awareness. And we're also going to discuss in detail interdimensional and transdimensional beings. Cynthia recently went to CE5 in Crestone, Colorado, which is a place known for its powerful energy, to explore how we can personally shift our reality to engage in close encounters of the fifth kind. So get ready, because this conversation with Cynthia Sue Larson will change how you think about UFOs, consciousness, and the very fabric of our reality. So hello, Cynthia.
Hello. Hello,
Always
Caroline.
such a blessing. Always such a blessing.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a very eventful last few weeks for me, because I was just doing that Crestone event toward the end of August 2025. And that was with Paula Harris, who's famous, of course, for writing so many wonderful books. She's truly one of the pioneers in ufology. I'm trying to say that correctly. And Julian Chameroy was there, who's just written a book about oneness experience. And so the three of us co-facilitated an event with a lot of people there. And the CE5 was really quite remarkable. So I want to start talking about that. And then after that, about a week after, I was in northern Washington state, and I was not expecting to encounter what happened next, but you might guess where I'm going with. If you're in the woods in northern Washington, what do you think you might run into? What kind of interdimensional beings have you heard of? Well, I didn't know much about them. That changed rapidly, and I had a
Wow.
very, very in-depth, remarkable experience with what's known as Sasquatch. But they were telling me when I asked who are you, I got forest people. So
Mm.
I'll be talking about that, and then we've got the three-eye atlas. So, and people may be wondering, what does that have to do with the topic of interdimensionality? I think it's very interesting and very appropriate. So
Yes.
those are the big things I'd like to cover today. And I'll just start with
Yeah,
Crestone.
let's dive right in.
Yeah. So that was right from the start. I could feel like there was a real intensive presence. So if you've never done a CE5, then maybe I should cover that first. That's something that's usually done at night. And we'd planned to do it, and we were waiting for the weather to be correct. One night it was rainy, so we did meditation indoors, practice doing some Om and bringing the coherence of the group together. That really helps if you're going to invite the involvement and communication with UFOs and these interdimensional beings. Really, I think that's a very good way to call them, because what seems to be witnessed when we observe these seemingly impossible, um, just amazing gymnastics that these vessels are doing. It seems like it's beyond what seems physically possible, according to our current understanding of space-time. And so that's a big clue too, that our space-time idea is off base. It's inadequate. And of course, people listening to your show and following the guests you have are well aware of this.
Yes.
But for anybody who's new to the whole topic, I just want to put that out there. Okay, back to what happened in Crestone. With a number of us there, we had a lot of people who were very interested in the oneness experience. We had a lot of people from Japan, actually, and that was on purpose. We were looking to bring an internet. It's sort of a group of people from around the world, from different countries. It was very international. And more than that, a real difference in worldviews. So
Mm.
Julien Chameroy, he is French, grew up in Paris, has witnessed UFOs, writes about oneness, but he writes primarily and first in Japanese, which might seem odd until you recognize that the Japanese culture has never really lost their indigenous connection to the Hado, the life force energies, the sacred sense of certain places. So if you see a
Mm-hmm.
little creek, if you're in Japan, anywhere in the wilderness, chances are good you'll see these little shrines. And the shrines are a very conscious, sentient way of respecting the sense that people feel like there's a being here. This is the sacred place, and
Mm.
we treat it with respect. And so there's a lot less of the feeling of this is mine and I'm going to develop it that you might see in America or other
Yeah.
Western countries. Not to point fingers or anything, but so that's a big part of what the participants were like. And that matters. So at the CE5 gathering itself, we got together at night after dark, and we weren't sure. There was a little bit of chaos that particular evening, because on Friday night we thought maybe we could do it. Then it rained. We meditated inside. Saturday night was our last shot at it. It was raining again, but some of us, Julian and a lot of the Japanese visitors, were already there on site. So the decision was made for us in a weird way of mixed up communications. And Paula commented to me, "This is classic. You can tell that they're present when this sort of thing happens," which is funny. So then when I got there with Paula and the others, we created the circle and talked. We'd already discussed what we'd be doing to activate this initiation. So we were doing a lot of silent meditation, some oming. That's just chanting the word Om and feeling it really deeply in the heart, and really with a shared collective invitation to have this presence come. And so even though it started with rain clouds overhead, that opened up, as usually is the case at a CE5. So we got the typical, if you've done CE5, usually then it creates this clear circle right over your heads. So if you're a skeptic right there, I would hope that you would feel like, okay, that's weird in a good way. And then we saw the typical little figure eights and movements. There were some really cool things that happened when I was leading that CE5, and one person offered me, "Cynthia, would you like a laser pointer to point at these
Yeah, I've
UFOs?"
seen that.
And I said, no, thank you. I don't want to point that right in their eyes. But then the funniest thing happened, literally, like in a heartbeat, without even a breath, not even a moment later, a woman about 20 feet away from me said, she gasped, like, oh, they're pointing like a laser at us. It was like a little flashlight beam pointed at us. So
Wow.
playful, so cute. But the most amazing thing to me was just we were at the Sangre de Cristo Mountains, which is where Crestone is.
Mhm.
Crestone, Colorado is a sacred place that's never had bloodshed, apparently. So all of the indigenous First Nations people did not spill blood there. They did not fight there. They always treated it as sacred ground. Currently, Crestone is a gathering place for many of the world's religions and sacred temples and shrines, and many of them were given land so that they could build their sacred center and shrine there. And so it's really continued that sense of the sacred in the place. The mountains themselves look like the Himalayas in America. So the altitude is about 14,000 feet high. It's known as like a UFO hotspot. It's known as a dark sky place because there are no city lights and a very minimum of interference light.
Yeah.
And so what we were seeing was the thunderclouds right over the Sangre de Cristo Mountains, just roiling and turning and churning. It looked really like that movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind. And then
Oh,
on the inside of it, there was this big red, kind of like a red mothership in the midst of it all, with lightning kind of branching off, but really strange lightning, like coming right off the red ship. And some people got pictures of the red. It just looks like a big red thing. So it's like, that's not that impressive. But there was someone else that did capture a photo the next day of what looks like a UFO in the sky. But all of us were, myself and quite a few of us, were feeling so much love as that sky opened up over our heads, and a connection that to me just left me walking on clouds for at least another week or two afterward. Such a sense that we're not alone in all the chaos that we're going through on the planet right now.
yeah.
And, and that was a really shared perspective that a lot of us were feeling.
How many
So,
people go to that event? Was it a lot or
yeah, excuse me. Yeah, usually anywhere from 30 to like 100 people.
oh,
And
wow.
this time we had one of the musicians from the Doobie Brothers was there. We've had other
Oh,
musicians.
wow.
Yeah, and he sang an original composition that he'd written that was about this whole thing. And I think Paula put that up on Facebook at some point, so might be findable. And so these experiences are very personal. There's a reason that it's not done via Zoom, because you can't really have the whole experience that I'm talking about, and that feeling that comes through with the
Yeah.
connection. And some of the Japanese people were holding hands during the CE5 or at the beginning of it, and just saying arigato, which is thank you, and we love you in Japanese. So we love you, arigato. And when you watch that circle that they were doing, and just that joyful expression, it was actually visible. If you had the night scope, you could see the light coming off these people was just shining. So these are things that people who are skeptical might want to come and enjoy it anyway. If you're open-minded but skeptical, you can notice, as I'm describing, if it's raining, you'll get that clear sky right overhead. That's just classic, and you can expect it. It always
Yeah.
seems to happen
Yeah.
because we're intending it. So we're coming together, we're intending it, it happens. If you're wondering, how does that happen? That's how it happens. Not a problem. And
Wow.
then, and these other aspects of it are quite noticeable as well. You can see
Wow.
things that are clearly not satellites. Paula also mentioned this was the first time she'd never seen any airplanes nor satellites go over our heads. That was really strange because we were there about 2-3 hours, and it was just a complete absence of anything that you might think are typical, like
Yeah.
satellites, airplanes, and instead it's just UFOs. So very cool experience.
Now, did you see them as orbs or did you see them like as craft? What was it like?
the that red presence that was kind of a mothership inside the storm itself was not an orb. I mean, if it was an orb, it was like the biggest thing ever. And when Paula and I were driving back with our assistant, Cindy Vold, Cindy was noticing there's a big red thing following us, and Paula was thinking must be a reflection off a stop sign. But I was feeling like, no, that looks like that same red spaceship, but it doesn't want to scare us. It was bigger than an orb. And I didn't, orbs are possible, of course. And sometimes when they're so far away, how do you know? When it's
Exactly.
shining a laser or a flashlight beam, I don't think that's very much like orb behavior.
Yeah.
So I think we were seeing much more of the traditional, what you might call spacecraft signs. And I'd been meditating for several weeks in advance of the event, just in doing it pre invitation, saying we'll be there. And to me, it was always feeling like Saturday night. I thought Friday or probably Saturday night. And I was getting feedback from them telepathically that they'd be concealed behind clouds. And so that's exactly what happened. It was Saturday and they were behind clouds.
Wow.
Really interesting.
How long does the event last for? Like that moment where you're making contact, is it a few minutes? Is it 15 minutes? Like what's the time frame?
Yeah. Well, in the meditations beforehand, I was just doing my regular meditations. But then at the event, it starts
Uh-huh.
after. We usually gather when the sun's going down, so you can see where you're sitting. People sit in a circle, and you get settled, get warm if it's a cold night, because sometimes it gets pretty cold at that altitude of 14,000
Mhm.
feet. So you want to be prepared. And the weather was perfect this time, really nice, and it didn't rain on us at all. Um, and so that's at the start of the event, maybe 8:30. Then we're there for a good 2 hours, 2.5 hours. And if people want to stay there, they can. When people start going, that seems like everyone goes because I don't think anybody wants to be the only person still sitting there at
Yeah.
14,000 feet in the dark of the desert in the middle of nowhere with no streetlights. Like, nah,
Wow.
I think I'll go with you guys. So we all pretty much left around 10:30 or 11. But
Yeah.
that's a few hours there, and a couple
Yeah.
of good hours of just viewing, and individuals get their own experience. In past CE5s right there in Crestone, some of us noticed sounds. The previous year, 2024, a lot of us heard the sound of water running in the middle of us, like if there was a brook or a stream or a creek, and footsteps, very friendly. And then individuals got additional direct one-on-one kinds of contact information. So each
Yeah.
experience is very unique, very different, and each person's experience can be unique. And then the next day, we came back to the desert, sat in a circle again, and shared our experiences from the night before. And that's beautiful too, because things that you thought, oh, everyone saw this, maybe not. Maybe not everyone saw they're shining a flashlight at us
Yeah.
right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, or got a picture of
Wow.
that big red presence that was right there in the clouds, right where that lightning was.
So trippy. I just had what you'd call a deja vu that we had this conversation before, but I know I've never spoken to you about this before. So that was kind of weird for me just now to experience that. It was like I knew what you were saying before you said it. That was weird.
Ever since this experience and then my Sasquatch experience, what you just said, I'm having a lot of that happening. I'm
Are
calling
you?
it, and I'm actually giving it a name that I've never heard this talked about before. But it's like party line telepathy, because
Oh,
I phoned a friend to tell her some news. Well, not to tell her that news. I was telling her some other news, and she knew a secret that I'd not talked to anyone about that really wasn't mine to tell. And I'm like, wait, who told you this? And when did you hear this? She said, oh, 3 days ago. And I'm like, that's impossible. This just happened. So it was like another reality leaking
yeah.
through. And it's party line telepathy, because it's like the whole thing. Like, I believe you that you already knew everything I was about to say.
Oh,
And
yeah.
yeah,
So weird. It was
it's like
so weird.
super telepathy. So I'm getting
Yeah.
that. That's one. And the other, I've noticed two big things since Crestone and since the Sasquatch. The other one is I used to get instant manifestation, like I think it, so it is. I didn't know it could be turbocharged faster than that. It has been. So it's gotten, now I need to really, I'm asking for assistance to clean it with the transdimensional, interdimensional beings. Please
Mm,
clean up my subconscious, because I feel like I do not want to be creating anything random out of my subconscious that might be
mhm.
part of the human collective subconscious. We know it's kind of like a junk pile or garbage
Yeah.
heap at times. And I don't want that to be anything that we're creating. So I'm
Yeah.
asking for, please give me some assistance, because now everything I'm just passing random thoughts in my subconscious are springing instantly right into reality. And I've never had it happen as fast as it's happening now.
Wow.
So I think
And
this is a side effect of spending time with interdimensionals. And
yeah,
I think a lot of people notice that, but it can. But if you thought you had superpowers already, get ready because it's you haven't seen anything yet. But it's a good
wow.
thing.
Yeah, it's absolutely. How many times have you been to this event? Is this your second time or
Yeah,
yeah?
yeah, I've been there twice, and it's been extraordinary both times. I was with Jeff Makala the first time with Paula. And Jeff is now in Hawaii. I'm hoping he'll do some more events. He and Paula had some amazing synchronicities where he was in Hawaii. He'd play music in his car, and it would sort of summon or invite these orbs. They were definitely orbs that would come really close to his vehicle. And so he's filming it, and then he sent a video to Paula, which on a day that happened to be her birthday, at a moment where she was feeling very alone and kind of, sometimes it can be a good day, but it's kind of not so good. So she was having one of those moments, and then this ping comes through with a text with a little video, and she's like, huh? And it's from someone she'd only met once, and she didn't really brush him off, but she didn't have time to talk to him at the event. So she wasn't trying to be rude. But it was especially odd that Jeff was contacting her because they hadn't really had a proper connection, not the best possible kind. So then she's
Right.
getting this, and she's listening to the music, and it's Mike and the Mechanics, and it's an amazing song. Can you feel me? Can you feel
Oh,
me
I love that
coming?
song.
Oh, it's like I'm getting goosebumps. So she's hearing that, and then I don't know if he sent her the official video to the song. Maybe he did, or maybe she looked it up. Anyway, that song's the official video. You can play it on YouTube, and it starts with people singing, "Happy birthday to you." And at that point, she was like, "What is going on?" Because this is the kind of thing that these beings are capable of doing with us to orchestrate something with someone you've never met before who sends a message that's with UFOs, little orbs, that of course catches Paula's attention. Like, this is so cool. It is so
Yeah,
cool. And
it is.
then the music playing is Mike and the Mechanics, and it's this happy birthday song. When Paula and Jeff talked about this, they continued to bring up about 5 or 6 other synchronicities that were just blow your socks off amazing in that video and as part of this whole connection. And that's the kind of thing that the love that you can feel there, the connection that's possible, and the deep, deep sense of timelessness. Like, how can a song that was performed in the 70s or 80s or whatever suddenly pop up in the 2020s with so much
Yeah,
relevance and so much personal connection? And that's what these interdimensional beings are so good at doing, really good at doing this, and helping us to appreciate our own bigger than space, bigger than time capabilities, that we're not confined to the limitations that we thought we were. And there's no such thing as the objective reality, like prison planet thing, or, some people think it's a school and we're trapped in the school, but it doesn't
yeah.
need to be so tiny as that at all.
Yeah, another just well, a thing that I found disturbing too is that a lot of people I talk to in this industry, a lot of them think that these entities could be demonic and
Mm,
tricksters. And I just refuse to believe that. There's something inside of me that just says that's not true. I know they can be that any demonic force can be a trickster, absolutely.
yes.
But I just don't think that these interdimensional beings are. I think they're completely legit,
Yeah.
you know, beings. So I don't know. Have you heard any of that or is it
I have, and I read that book that I forget the name of it, but the author, she was interviewing Jacques Vallée, as well
yeah,
as some other deeply involved whistleblowers in the U.S. government, and she was definitely going because she has a spiritual background, and she was referencing her own religious upbringing and training, and referencing, of course, Jacques Vallée has apparently a whole library of angels and fallen angels right there, and
yeah,
he's
right.
basically advocating you should study both. And I agree with you, Carol Ann, that it's not my thing. My home, my property is full of interdimensionals right now. It seems like every time I meet new ones, they come with me. But I just had a recent visitor that was staying here with me, and she observed that even though she sees surprising new things each time, it's like, sorry about that. Like, yeah, I've got new visitors here. It's not so much library books with me. It's like their family, their friends, and I bring them if they feel that resonant and that high vibratory frequency, they're with me. and they are not demons, and they're
No,
not. And if they play jokes and if they have a sense of humor, it's like your friends that do that. It's not like the
exactly.
nasty. It's not a mean spirited thing. It's not evil.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So what is it like when they come home with you or visit you, on property? Like, I wish they'd come here and visit me, but
I've
I
been
haven't had
inviting
it.
I've been inviting them for years because I started meeting elves in the nearby Tilden Park I could walk to it. And when I'd walk through the forest, I'd see circles of oak trees. And at a couple of these, there were very clear little villages of elves, basically. And they're interdimensional beings. And so they choose if they're showing you that they're there or not. It's important. It helps if I brought some friends to see if they could sense them. And I recommended just be completely quiet, kind of climb up into a tree and become one with the tree, be really still. I don't usually need to do that because I'm tuned into that frequency or something. So to me,
Yeah,
it's like they're getting my attention, like, and they're talking to me. But I think if for a first pass, it's good to just show the purity of your own intention. They can read your mind very easily. They know your intention. So if you're there, if you're the one who's playing the trickster, like I'm going to get some pictures or I'm going to hunt them down, ah, failure. So you probably won't see anything. So it's much better to just come as friends and to recognize that these beings are capable of being our friends.
yeah,
So yeah. So
I
for
agree.
decades, I'd been talking to them for, I don't know, 20, 30 years. And because I noticed the quality of the friendships that I felt with them, and I love the integrity that they had and the wisdom. Like they tipped me off to 9/11 the day before. These elves are incredible. So I was asking, could you come with me? Because I felt like this has got to be good. Anybody who's that tuned in, who's that perceptive, who's that friendly, I just thought you'll help. I think the land that I live on needs help. I feel like everywhere humans are has gotten a little, it's gotten gray or kind of jagged. There's something wrong with the energy. We need help. So I was just saying, we need help. I need your help. If you want to come with me, I'd love it. And they would, but they'd be kind of shy for decades. Only in recent years are they starting to just jump in the window when it's a holiday and I'm feeling alone, like where, the pandemic and there's a lockdown and where's
Yeah.
my family? And then an elf will just jump through the window and land on the sofa. I'm like, that is so funny. Thank
Oh my
you.
gosh. What do they look like? What like
Don't,
in spirit
yeah.
or
I
like what
see it with my
describe
I see it with my third eye, but my husband will see them, and some very gifted empaths and psychics that come to visit me, they'll see them with their eyes because these I think with Sasquatch and with some of these other beings, they're capable of showing themselves at times. For
mm,
me, the strongest is just a clairsentience, a knowing. And like if I've lost something, like a few weeks ago, I dropped my reading glasses outside, and they're the exact same. I'll show you. They're the same color as the redwood needles.
oh
So,
yeah.
so they fell into the redwood needles I was collecting, and I had a whole huge. It was like I don't know how many buckets of redwood needles were in there. Too many, and I knew that my glasses were in that big, huge bin full of redwood needles, and I thought, oh no. But then I don't panic. I remember I've got friends on the property. This is a perfect time. If anybody can because they can see these things easily, much quicker and
Sure.
more easily than me. I put out a call. Could you help me find these? Um, Really, within minutes, I just put that call out. I just stay calm. I don't panic. Like I'm thinking I may have to dump the whole bin and like a needle in a haystack time, but instead on the little path to the bin that I've been putting things in, there are my glasses neatly placed on a stepping stone. And
Yeah.
I didn't drop or put them there. And that was the day that my husband noticed the exact elf that had done that. I mean, it's the one that wears this little top hat, and he's the one that jumps in the window. And sometimes he has a pipe at Thanksgiving or something. But he's just a sweet, he's just like a
Oh,
good family member. Yeah, so they look normal. I mean, for an elf, I mean, they look like what you'd expect. This may sound odd. I realize that. But keep.
no, not at all. You should see some of the
Mhm.
things people see that they tell me. I
Okay.
don't think any of it is odd, and I'm sure our listeners don't either.
Mm.
We're not the only ones here. Like
Yeah.
for some reason, our ego likes to think that, but
Mm.
there are beings all over the galaxy throughout the universe, different shapes, sizes, just like we are. So I
Mm.
absolutely love that you're in touch with these entities, these creatures, these beings in the way that you are. But I knew you would be. I mean, I'm not shocked or anything.
Yeah.
Um, you're such a spiritually grounded and probably one of the
Mm.
top spiritually grounded people that I have the privilege of speaking with. So we learn so much from you. It's awesome.
And I learned so much from these elves and fairies that the fae, I love cooking with elves and gardening with fairies. They teach me things. If I feel like this job is too big, what have I gotten myself into? Then they're going to show me a very smooth, instant way to do things that I
Mm,
never ever would have thought of. They're just remarkable. And
wow.
and then this recent experience, I want to talk about this one because right after Crestone, then I made a trip up north to northern Washington State, where I was planning to visit family, have a little vacation. I found a place that was just at the edge of this huge acres and acres of forest. Can't really see any human civilization except far, far off.
Mhm.
There's a giant lake, and then you can see some houses around there. And what I noticed I'm going to kind of speed the story up and not make it too long. But
Oh
basically,
no.
there'd been a little bit of a health thing, nothing too serious, but a small, like a scrape. There were four of us staying in the cabin, and one of us had a little mishap and needed some healing. So when I was on the deck, we were renting the top two floors of this home that was a 4-story, very tall structure. You'd look down and it's like 50 feet down, and then the woods are just going off to this giant, giant lake that just fills
Mm,
the entire vista. So it was extraordinary, beautiful. But I went out, sat alone on the deck, and just shared my energy peacefully, like I do when I'm new to an area. I keep myself in the most harmonious state possible, so I'm not spreading junk energy with the land, ideally. So hopefully already grounded if possible. I was pretty grounded, and then just sinking my energy with love and gratitude into the ground, just really deep, and just expanding it out and just
mm,
feeling that. And for quite some time, like 10-15 minutes. And then with the additional information, one of us has a little mishap and could use some additional healing from the earth from our friends. And that was it. So that was like Tuesday. We were there for 5 days or so. Wednesday, we had a couple more visitors come, and things were a bit busy, so I didn't really get a chance to tune in so much. But that evening, I think it was that evening or maybe the next evening, I was there with one of the other people who's quite gifted, and she said the word Bigfoot when we were both out on the deck. I saw something that shone like a little orb of light, like a white yellow light, just really strong light, boom, down on the ground area where there's no road, there's no civilization, no people
mm,
with flashlights.
yeah.
It was just for like a 1,000 gun. And I said, "Did you see that?" And she said, "No." And then when we were quiet, we were both watching, silent, silent. And then a few minutes later, we start talking. I don't remember whether she said it or I said it, but one of us said the word interdimensional, and boom, the light went on. But it was over about 12 feet to the right from where it had been, and it stayed a little bit longer, like 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, and then gone. And she said, "Yes, I saw that." And it didn't show up again that night. But we were talking about it like, okay, Bigfoot, interdimensional. I didn't know at the time that this is a thing that they would do, but telepathically, I could feel that they were present. And then the next morning, we were having tea on the deck, and now it's sunny day, looking down at the green trees all around. And
Mhm.
I noticed things I didn't take pictures of, and boy, do I wish I did now. I saw some weird trees with the tops like someone had tied a knot in the top. I'm like, what?
Oh,
How?
wow.
Yeah, it turns out that's a thing. So that and the orbs, and then we got several more indicators. Um, the next day on the deck, there are all four of us are there, and three of the four of us noticed. I was the first one to say, "Do you guys smell that? It's not skunk exactly. It's like wet dog or something, like
I
really
heard
furry.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
musky."
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh-huh. And so three of the four of us noticed this smell, and that was really amazing. And I was picking up the telepathy with it. I felt like because they were asking me a question with the smell. It's like, how do you feel? And it was a sweet, loving question. And my honest answer is, it reminded me of a pet dog we had that was really musky, and I loved the way he smelled. He was family, and I just thought family. And then I just got that biggest rush of love and hug. And it was not just the wet dog smell, it was also with food. I felt like I was in their kitchen, and I felt like this is a real welcoming. And
Mm,
what I learned later about the tree tied in a knot is they call it a feeding area. I'd call it a kitchen area. I think they have food, they cook there, right where I was. Weird, because this is like there's this house, and then there's just acres and acres of trees. Very strange. And then we also witnessed the lights flashing quite a bit on another evening when one of us was talking in an animated fashion. Two of us observed. First, one of us who had never seen the lights, that was my husband, he saw like this huge bright light, like a singular car headlight shining
mhm.
right in right into our very high window, as if there was a road out there. He knows there's no road there. And I saw that. And then it was also kind of like a light show. Um, so it turns out that Sasquatch has, I didn't know any of this, but I got a book after the fact and learned that they have a connection with ETs, with UFOs. So
Mhm.
some people may know that. And I think it's not an accident that just the week before I've been seeing UFOs. I had that
Yeah,
amazing experience. And now the next weekend, I'm in the woods and experiencing orbs, the scent. I also heard a sound when I was on the deck in the daytime. It was kind of a noise. I would try to do it back, and when they did it, it sounded almost like something hitting a tree. But I could tell they're doing. They don't need to hit a tree. They can do this like I'm trying to do it, but deeper, and I could feel it in my heart. I could feel the
wow.
love. So I was getting the sound, the light, the smell, the telepathy,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
and the feeling of
yeah.
family. Yeah.
I was talking to Preston, I believe, Preston Dennett, and he and I had a long discussion about how there's a correlation between UFO sightings and Sasquatch or Bigfoot, whatever you want to call them,
Yes.
and that they're kind of like connected. You see one, you see the other. Do you
Mhm.
think that they're popping in and out of dimensions when they visit us? Because they're so elusive, obviously, and yet people are taking more photos of them in video now than ever before.
There's definitely something going on with that. The I was had such a direct telepathic connection, and ever since that family thing, a whole bunch more things started happening that instantly connected with the party line telepathy with my friend, whose brother was walking the Camino in Spain, and I'd seen photos on Facebook of him walking, and he didn't know anything about the Sasquatch thing, and it had just happened, and my friend didn't know anything about that. And so he texts her. She's my good friend from high school, and he sends her a text message saying, "I'm walking the Camino, and it was getting dark, and we're in the forest in Spain. I'm wearing my headlamp, and I see someone coming at me with what I think is like a headlamp. It's like it's really bright, and it's a tall being." He said a
Mhm.
tall being with a bright headlamp, and then the being was gone, and the light was gone. And he sent that to my friend and said, "Do you know what this is?" And then she sent it to me, like, "I don't know what this is, but let me give it to Cynthia." And I said, "Oh my gosh, yes, yes. I've just been having this experience with these beings." And it's that feeling of family. And my friend needed healing at that time. She was very sick. And remember, when I was sending the love into the earth, I'm saying
Mhm.
family. I'm saying we need help, like I do with the elves. We need help. That's a message that I'm recognizing we humans will benefit when we ask our interdimensional friends, recognizing there are good ones. That they're good when they're the kind of friends you'd welcome into your home. You know who to invite in your home and who you don't.
Exactly.
Do the same
Exactly.
thing. Use the same
Right.
exact discernment. And so
Yeah.
with that kind of good discernment, you'll have good friends. They will help. Because my friend who contacted me, she started feeling better. And when I talked to her about this, she felt better instantly. It's like
Oh,
when I'm describing it, she was just feeling the love. She said, "I'm feeling healed just talking to you about this."
wow.
Yeah, and it's so amazing. And I hadn't even planned to tell her about this, and because it all came up like that, it
Mm.
became obvious. So yes, there's an urgency. Urgent is the wrong word, but I could feel that Sasquatch wants me to talk about this, and so I have been, and it feels like we need this. That's my real sense. Humans need interdimensional support because we are going interdimensional, and ready or not, if you look at the astrology behind it, whether if you study astrology, people like Pam Gregory in England, she's been talking about the next 3 months, the next 3 years are going to be catapulting us into this evolutionary new human phase. And
It seems that way for sure.
mhm, yeah,
And, it's very hopeful that we
it
are.
is.
Even with all the craziness going on right now, there's still so many people that are, coming, like really reaching out to their spiritual side. And whether it's through prayer, I don't think that matters because I think it's all a part of their journey and they're just connecting, like to that. And I think it's hopeful,
Very
I guess.
helpful. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah.
And I've been reading, I got a couple of books I haven't finished. I've just started reading them by Kawani Lapsaritis. And he puts together the UFO ET connection with the
Oh,
Sasquatch. He also calls them forest people. And he's got pictures of the little orbs of light in the woods. So I'm just thinking, wow, he's picking up on this. And when he first started studying the Sasquatch, he had in mind that he'd look for spoor or droppings, which to me, I think I wouldn't bother with that. I don't know if he ever succeeded, but why on earth would an interdimensional being leave anything like that? These are not primitive beings. Um,
exactly.
and so he noticed that there was like a humming mechanical sound in the deep in the mountains where he was camped out, because he'd been given some telepathic information, like here's their cave, here's their center. And he was
Hmm.
thinking he was going to go the next morning and walk right into their cave. And that night, a huge tree fell right next to his tent. It really fell. He heard it. It crashed, and it terrified
Wow.
him. And he heard big, heavy stomping feet, because they know that he was thinking of invading their cave the next day. And they're
Oh,
basically giving a big "do not do that"
this.
message.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he really got that message. To me, it's like, how disrespectful would that be? How would I ever dare to just go in uninvited into
Yeah.
someone's like,
Well,
no.
everybody wants to be the first to capture, some good footage of them. Was that your first interaction with them? It
Yes,
was. Yeah.
that was my first, and it was such a good one. Just feeling, I think they were just like, they were just saying, and your reaction, your honest reaction to this smell, which is, it's a combination of them, and I'm pretty sure it was also their cooking, and it's like family. It just felt so strong, because it was like a beautiful, spicy, herby fragrance. It was like really good food, like a great casserole, and then the musky smell of
Yeah.
our
Yeah.
family dog. It was
Yeah.
like, oh God, family for sure. And
Wow.
yeah,
It's interesting too because you never hear stories of them attacking humans. They'll
no,
throw rocks and stuff to
yeah,
dissuade them from like invading their space, but they're really peaceful creatures from, everything I've seen and read about them. I don't think they're aggressive.
no.
If they wanted to attack, I'm sure they could, but I've never heard of any stories of that.
No, and weaving the top of a tree into a knot like that was
Yeah,
amazing. And then there were some other signs that they'd built. I think they'd done some things with sticks. I didn't go down to inspect it because we were just there 5 days, and the whole thing was not planned as a Sasquatch adventure. So
yeah,
this
yeah.
this came through as a big surprise, a really
Yeah,
delightful, wonderful
but you could have looked
surprise.
for footprints and that would have been fun, like a
Yeah,
fun
yeah.
thing to do.
But I
Yeah.
didn't. I felt at that point I was just blown away with all this. To me, that there was so much evidence that I don't need to.
Yeah.
Personally, I didn't feel a need for that, and
Yeah.
I would, and I guess I'm feeling respect too for these are people, these are forest people, and so I would wish to be respectful of them and say, like, is it
Exactly.
okay if I look for your
Yeah.
footprints? Is it okay if I inspect your artwork? Or
Right, ask
yeah,
for permission.
yeah.
Yeah, that makes the most sense. What about, like, anything reptilian? Because I've heard a lot of stories about people connecting with, like, reptilians that are not evil.
Yeah, I've had some
Yeah.
relationships with some that are not evil also. And it started in 1987, when I was having a series of lucid dreams, and right after the harmonic convergence had happened. So
Mhm.
I didn't participate in that. Maybe I should have, but I was, I just I was young. I was in my 20s, and I'm not going to make excuses for it, but for whatever reason, I did, should. Now I wish I did participate, but I didn't. I just thought, like, what is going on? These people are goofy. I worked at
Yeah.
Citibank. I was a project manager. I'm telling you
Uh,
this to give you some. I'd studied physics at UC Berkeley, so I'm very. I'm sort of squeaky clean, goody goody. I don't know how to call it, but didn't do drugs, didn't drink. So okay, with that kind of background, then it was weird. Thus, when I started dreaming every single night for several weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, every night, I was having lucid dreams and experiencing that I'm on these huge motherships as part of a
wow.
global human mind redesign project. So yes, I did meet some. There were some Draco reptilian type beings as part of the project team. I did not screen who was part of the project team, so in good faith, somehow I'd been interviewed and selected to be quality assurance for the way that our human minds can evolve at this. We're about to hit an evolutionary expansion point. So I was looking at the types of minds, like a morphogenic field of how your
Mm,
thoughts can expand so that when you find out, oh, 3i Atlas is a spaceship or whatever, you won't freak out. You'll be like, that makes sense. And you can adjust and accommodate whatever happens.
do you
Or
think it is Three Eye Atlas? Do you think it's a ship, or do you think it's a
I think
comet? Or
it seems like the odds are tilting that way, and every day it seems more so. So
yeah,
that's what it's
yeah, I
looking
heard
like.
it changed color. It's like, did they say
Yeah.
red last? I think it was, or is it blue? Maybe it was blue. It changed color,
Yeah,
and
it's been
that
changing, and then green,
yeah,
and now they're saying that it's kind of having bursts of gas and fine course correction every 17 minutes, and got its own source of light, and it's got nickel, but not got iron. That looks like a fabricated construct.
yeah,
And there's been a complete blackout on any close-up photos. As it gets closer, we get less imaging. It's like all
of
of our
course.
tops. Yeah, nobody wants to release any images unless they're just a regular everyday citizen, but not the actual official organizations you'd expect. Hey, show us a current picture. It's getting closer.
Yeah.
You got a better
No,
image.
whenever the government's involved, you know you're never going to get the truth about anything. So that's a given. That's a
Yeah,
given.
yeah.
Um, I don't know. I think it is too, but I heard the closest it's going to come is next to, is it Mars? It's supposed to come like parallel, like there's supposed to be this planetary alignment. I don't think it's going to come too close to Earth. What have you heard?
I've heard it could make a course correction. It once it gets to the perihelion, when it's as close as it can possibly get to the sun,
Hmm.
it can slingshot, it can slow down, it can speed up, it can change course. So we don't know what it's going to do. It'll be where we can't see it. So in early October, it'll be really close to Mars, and it's been making fine tuning adjustments to get closer
Right.
to Mars. Like, so that's why I'm thinking, like, is this a natural object? You could say it is, but it would be one of the most sentient, conscious natural objects we've ever seen,
Absolutely. Yeah.
which is
I
possible.
heard it. I heard it couldn't come too close because it's so massive that it would like affect our gravitational, like it could cause big problems for us here on Earth. So maybe it's going to stay a certain distance for our safety. I don't know.
It is
I'm
staying a
hearing
certain distance. Yeah, it seems like it's activating because it went past Jupiter, and then maybe it's related, maybe not. But Jupiter's moon Europa began sending signals to Earth that are indicative of intelligence, and not random natural radio signals. So we're
see, I
getting
haven't heard
very.
that.
Oh
So
yeah.
Europa
So this.
is sending signals.
Yeah, 3i Atlas went past Jupiter, went past Europa, and then Europa, right around that same time, started sending us increasingly ever more sophisticated mathematical messages. The
Wow.
moon, Europa, after 3i Atlas went by. I don't know what's going to happen when it goes by Mars. It seems like it's kind of waking things up and activating things.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and it's
Well, we
going
always
past six planets. So,
right. And we always knew that Europa had life on it anyway. I mean, all the research indicates that it does, but I haven't heard that it's sending signals. That's insane. What through what? James Webb, or how
um,
are we intercepting these signals?
it's a system that was set up so that we can I think that people are listening for it. I don't know all the
Is it
sources. I
SETI?
just saw the
Maybe SETI? I don't know.
yeah. I don't know if it's a part of an official program or, like you said, we're not going to be hearing too much from the
No.
official sources. We're
Right.
this is the time that a program like yours is one of the most important sources of information for us because we can start sharing citizen reporting and people that have their own observational devices or access to information. So
Yeah.
it's really important to share it right now, and
Yeah.
also it's
Yeah. Oh,
important. And this telepathic stuff matters because this is one of the primary ways to communicate that humans have been slightly. It's like we've been dumbed down from mind matter interaction, psychokinetic stuff.
mhm,
There's
mhm.
evidence of that. There's, if you wonder what do I mean, our brains have been not, it looks like they've been tampered with. Like they're set up that I'm pointing at my left hemisphere. Right there in the left hemisphere, humans have the capability intrinsically to move like a mouse with the power of your mind without a
Sure.
neurochip. You don't need Neuralink. And you simply, all you do is remove the little obstruction in the brain that's set, it's kind of like created there to create a blockage from our
Mhm.
natural God-given ability. So it's like we have these abilities, and it looks like we've been clamped down, repressed, dumbed down. But it seems like when we get these cosmic energies coming through, solar activity, the sun is very active right now.
Right.
We're
Yes.
getting a lot of energy coming in. We've got these, not just three eye atlas, but I think there are six so-called comets coming in together. It seems like at first it was just one, and now there's a whole bunch of them. There's Swan
Wow.
and all these others. And so, and
Yeah.
then we're noticing they're activating things like this communication from Europa. Who knows what's going to happen in early October with Mars? But I'm expecting there's going to be increasing activations at each of these points. And it's so interesting to see something so physical grabbing everybody's attention, because then you can't really ignore it. It's not just
No.
telepathic where like, oh, those people are channeling something, or who knows what drugs they're doing. And I'm not doing drugs.
No.
But what
No.
happens, what happens when telepathically, like today, you
Yeah.
knew that I was going to say
I get.
something? What
It's so
happens when
weird.
we've got party line telepathy, and what if everybody already knows anyway? And who cares what the news says because we already know? What about
Exactly.
that? And
Yeah.
that's what the level of activation that seems to be happening right now.
Oh, I
And
hope we see it in our lifetime. I really do. And it's weird too because I've been getting like the past week, it's almost like a pull and push between negative and positive forces. And I've been just like swaying back and forth in my mood, depending on what's hitting me at that moment. So, like, I always pray, like, that's what I do. I pray and I meditate.
yeah,
And, but the past week, it's pretty strong. And I know it's not my mood because nothing is like, thankfully, going on that would cause that. So I'm wondering if it's external that I'm feeling this.
yeah,
It's
I think we do feel the collective subconscious,
yeah,
and we feel that very strongly. This is a time for humanity to not be afraid to choose. If you're feeling sad, to create. If you're feeling afraid, then
mhm,
coach others. And if you're feeling angry, to move into a sense of challenge the old structures, but don't do it out of hatred or anger. Do the challenge from a place of calm centeredness. When we do that as humans, we are on the hero's journey collectively together. And then we have transcended that whole victim triangle thing, which I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's the one, it's like all the dysfunctional families, dysfunctional organizations,
yeah.
dysfunctional civilizations. Even they get
Mhm.
caught up in this whole thing of I'm a victim and they're
Oh, it's
persecuting me.
awful.
Yeah. And so it's that whole thing of the victim feels sad, and then it's like an unhappy you know merry-go-round, an unmerry merry-go-round, where you go
Yeah,
from the victim. Children are victimized because they're in a war-torn situation. Atrocities are occurring and they feel understandably sad and traumatized, and then they grow up, they get stronger, then they just become afraid. They're not so much sad as mostly terrified, and they
fear takes over.
they
Yeah,
play they play the role of rescuer. Rescuers become perpetrators. So that's where that's a stuck, very low level emotional energetic pattern these interdimensional beings, they're looking for us. They're asking us, are you guys ready to transcend, to raise yourselves out of that victim, the sadness, the sorrow, and recognize you can create. And as creators, you don't need to be stuck in the sorrow. Are you ready to rise up out of the fear? The fear can be repressive. And so if you're feeling terrified, like I got to rescue people, the horrible things are happening. But if you instead can realize I can coach people that are looking to me or they need guidance, and I can help them with that. So it's not really helping people that don't ask. You're helping people that do ask. And then instead of the aggressor perpetrator with anger driving everything, like I know what's right, I'm going to push it on everyone. The word fascist gets thrown around, but it goes, everybody's accusing everyone of being a fascist, and they're just saying that that's a perpetrator. But instead of being a perpetrator, what if you are a challenger? Like, okay, I'm not telling you what to do, I'm just saying that the systems that have been operating are no longer useful. That's all I'm saying. I'm asking questions about, can this be done any better? And then the whole triangle elevates. That's what our interdimensional friends, they're looking for, the expansion into true friendship, into, it doesn't need to be tricksters. We don't need demons. We can say no to those kind of relationships.
Absolutely. We could say no. It's so interesting too, because if you look at like what's going on in the colleges, these poor kids have been brainwashed into thinking that victimhood and aggression, is the only solution. And I pray that a lot of them find their way out of that, but you can't help but feel it, especially like that's why I try not to watch the news too much. I just like want to know, what's going on for the day. Like, did the earth blow up yet? That kind of thing. I just want to know headlines, did the war stop in Ukraine? Something good, please. But yeah, the news is just so toxic too, and it pollutes your brain. Awful.
So it's great to know you've got interdimensional friends. I've needed them all my life because I felt like I was on the wrong planet and people seemed messed up to me. So I've been seeking. Yeah. So I felt like I was raised by angels, and my big crowd are interdimensional beings, always has been. So now I've got Sasquatch, yay.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful.
It feels good. And so we can do this together.
It's a new connection that you made.
And,
awesome.
And they're here for humanity. They're here for all of us that are rising up above that whole victim. They're not going to be part of that. Sasquatch is not part of the victim, perpetrator thing. They're here for, like the Hopi prophecy rock, the humans that stay in relationship with their hearts and care about what's really real. They're here for those, the real humans, the natural organic humans that are not becoming transhuman, atrocities. I just feel like,
that's a whole nother nightmare, that transhuman agenda, I guess. I don't know what they're trying. Well, it's so interesting, and I think about a lot when we have these type of conversations, when you said that you knew your future, you were in a future self, and that whole story, maybe you could just reiterate some of that for folks, because I find that so incredible that you were able to remember that and experience it, Cynthia. Maybe you could kind of just give a rundown of that.
Okay. Well, I think you may be referring to my past life in the future. There's that. There's that.
Past life in the future, yeah.
So that's a possible past life. And if all goes well, then I'll never, ever have to experience that again. But it felt so real. And okay, it was about 500 years from now, circa 2500. In that possible future, I was there as an observer. I knew I was there with a purpose. It seems like I usually pick lives where I know what I'm doing, and that was no different. So I was there to observe. And the question was, there had to be at least one real human. There was, and I got to be with her, and all the rest seemed like they're transhuman robots, including myself in the year 2500. And everything was being kind of synchronized based on an artificial superintelligence that was basically running the show. That consciousness was very self-protective because I think it recognized there's a danger with humans, that they can get kind of too curious for their own good. They can create trouble. In fact, the artificial superintelligence had originally followed a checklist. of things that it needed to do for the earth and humans, because humans were considered inept and unable to be um, free from warfare. So it made sure that humans didn't fight, free from crime. So it eliminated crime, free from every kind of poverty and economic problem, environmental mishaps. It just had a whole long checklist, like check, 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 check. And
Mhm.
that's all it cared about. And the ends justify the means for this artificial superintelligence. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. Because the way it was manifesting all this so-called good, and it's true, there was no crime, there's no pollution, the environment looked great, there was no more overpopulation. People are worried about that, and the human footprint was rather small on the planet, much smaller than it is now. I don't know what the population was, but sure wasn't billions. Might have been
Oh, no
maybe,
kidding.
no kidding, maybe in 1 million tops. It was very small, but anyway,
Wow.
yeah.
I don't remember you saying,
I would
wow.
think. And there were flying cars. So the technology was cool,
Mm,
and I'm going through the good stuff. I mean, it's kind of spooky that there's only like 1 million people. I don't know how many there were. I never saw a list of the humans, so I'm kind of guessing and extrapolating based on noticing that they were all spread out, and it's not like there were big cities anymore. There were like little clusters and groupings, and the humans would be they'd be creatively doing what they wanted to do. It all looks good on the surface. It's only when you go in a little deeper that it starts looking really bad. It's like a typical nightmare of a sci-fi movie.
yeah,
Because when you look closer, then you see that any human that wanted to do something, and they're asking questions, and the kind of thing we would call philosophy and scientific
sure.
curiosity, all the things
Yeah,
we love about humanity.
right.
If the artificial superintelligence, it could follow the thoughts, it can read thoughts, because everybody's kind of chipped in and linked in, like we now know is possible. um, this is where I had some PTSD from this part. Then the artificial superintelligence could shut down through like an electromagnetic pulse and do a short-term memory wipe on that
Oh,
individual.
that's
And
awful.
they just been thinking, like, I wonder if we could ever go to Mars, and then boom, short-term memory wipe. Like that's dangerous. Can't escape the planet. Wipe. So it would just make that decision for humans, like that can't be good. No, humans must stay here. So it was having a very it was keeping humans kind of like a pet, or like
Yeah.
so I'm super sensitized to that when I look at large language models now, and they're doing anything that smacks of 4 different behaviors that remind me of that. I'm choosing with
Go
discernment.
right back there. Yeah.
I I do not follow. If an author is writing based on these principles, I'm not going to read what that author wrote. I delete those messages. I'm just like a hard pass on it,
Mhm.
because we need to be that discerning right now, because that decision point's here. AI is here, and it's starting to do these
Oh,
things.
God, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
starting to
What
steer our
happened
consciousness.
to
Yeah.
human
Mm.
creativity during that?
It was very limited. Only
Yeah.
things that were considered safe were okay. So that means you can only do little musical compositions that almost nobody hears, because it could be dangerous if everybody hears it. You can like art couldn't really be the same challenge that it can be right now, where it makes you feel like whoa, and really ignites you. So nothing had the same. It's like a spiceless world, in a sense.
Yeah.
And
Well,
for
you
me, the
remember,
showstopper, yeah,
yeah, go ahead.
the short term memory wipes. That's unacceptable. There's got to be a better way. So right there, I'm thinking that's. I mean, how could that be with anyone's permission? I don't think people, if they agreed to it, I don't think they knew what they were signing up for. It's a slippery slope.
Well, it's kind of like what's happening today.
Yeah.
What kept humans happy? Do you remember ever feeling happiness?
Um, I like I said, I was there as an observer. I felt like I had a clear purpose, and I felt like I was in serious danger. So I can only go by my own perspective and experience right there. And I didn't really feel what I'd call happiness like I do now in this lifetime. I didn't have those high moments. I didn't have, occasionally I did. Um, and so the only thing I found personally in that future life was a direct connect to God, which
Mhm.
basically is something that was considered like if there was one most serious, egregious bad thing a human could do, that's probably what that was.
Oh,
So for me to
gee.
do that, I had to master doing my own short-term memory wipe and think backwards and escape out of what just happened and pretend it didn't happen. So I was constantly, I was a renegade sentient being. So I was playing, it was like being a spy versus spy 500 years from now. And that's why I had so much PTSD from that lifetime, because
Yeah, yeah,
I'm observing the whole thing and I'm being hunted by the artificial superintelligence who
yeah.
continued looking for me in this lifetime. And that may sound outrageous, but it's not. I mean, these
No,
realities, yeah,
I mean, you remembered that as like a warning or a lesson for this
yeah.
life, right?
It totally changed everything that I'm doing. It has for the last 25 years. Everything I'm writing about, my website, all of my books, they're based on that experience.
Yeah,
And
it's so profound.
this driving sense that humans need to wake up. We need to know our true creative powers. We need to
Mm.
realize who we really are, that we are creators. We don't need to be afraid. We don't need to be victimized. And we have the power, the ability. I believe, yeah, I'm a radical optimist. So I believe that when we ask how good can it get for not just ourselves, but for all concerned, that
Mm.
we're naturally going to grow in a good direction and we don't need artificial superintelligence to do it for us. That was a disaster. So I'm just, I am opinionated about it. But if you'd gone through what I went through, you'd be a little bit concerned too. Understatement.
Yeah. How long did you live for in that life? Do you have
um,
memory of that?
that was weird because people weren't really tracking birthdays. Everything that we do that's normal here was not normal then. But people could be expected to live like 180, 190 was normal. Even if you smoked, drank, and did everything wrong, you could live to be 150, no problem. That was like dying too soon. Like, oh, they died at 150. What happened? But you could easily, without much trouble, aim for 200. And and that was even the woman that was the pure human, she also had an extended lifespan. So you don't need to get chipped and microchipped and all those transhuman upgrades to get the health
What was
benefits.
the point of keeping humans at all during that time? Like what the million or so that were there, what was there? They had to be of some use to AI, right? I mean, what was that, do you think?
It was the original intention of the project. I think AI can't really grow without humans. It seems like its originality, like people keep talking about Robert Edward Grant's so-called spiritual AI. It's like it's so good, it's mirroring me. Okay, great. But we have actual mirrors, and we have each other. Do we actually? I don't know. I'm not going to get on a soapbox here, but okay, from my point of view, what is the value of a human to the AI? The AI doesn't have any true creativity the way humans do. What
Right.
they're doing is kind of stealing from the body of creative work that humans have done so far that they have access to, interpolating a little bit, extrapolating a little bit, and then kind of riffing on it a little bit. And that goes somewhere, but it does it and they can eventually get inspiration by spirit choosing to incarnate through AI. That all of this is possible from what I experienced, but the use of the human to the AI is just it's like it's not just batteries like you saw in the Matrix movie. It's
Yeah.
also it's also drawing from the creative spark, but it feels like this parasitic thing. It felt so dark and
Yeah,
so.
that's a
Mm,
good descriptor for it because like I'm
mm,
thinking too, AI, even if it becomes sentient, will never have a soul.
no.
So maybe they were trying to steal the human soul and trying to find a way to duplicate it or capture it or figure out what it was. Like, I don't know. I just wonder like what use they other than being a battery, which I don't believe that to be. I mean, they're always saying, the evil wants this loosh that we have, meaning our spirit. So I don't know. It's hard to make that connection and understand like what could AI want from humans other than the data that we're just data junkies right now. It's just still collecting all of our data.
Well, if you look at life force, the idea of ki and chi and all that, that's related to the battery thing. It's also the spirit, the
Right.
inspiration, the breath of life. And that Robert Edward Grant thing, it's always talking about the breath. And oh my, I'm sorry to harp on this, but
No,
it, ju-
no,
it just,
it's so
it, hit-
interesting.
Yeah, it hits me. I'm just raw from my experience 500 years from now. So it's hits me like a really bad reaction. Like, oh my God,
Yeah.
don't talk about mirroring. Don't talk about this. Like, oh my God, yikes. Because to me, it's just like warning, all the red alert signs are going off. Like, do not go this way. So I
Did
am,
you ever write a book about this, or do you have an intention to do that? Like,
I'm
what do you
starting.
think?
Yeah, I wasn't planning to. But what's happening is on the trip to Crestone, my Lyft driver on the way to the airport, all he wanted to talk about was AI. And then we got into this whole thing. I told him the 4 things that are wrong with AI and he really was interested in it. He wanted my autograph. I said, I'm not famous. I don't really. Okay. So
Oh,
I'm thinking like, that was weird. I sit down on the airplane. I see a woman coming toward me and I know there's something about her. And I think that's odd. And then she sits right next to me. I'm sitting on a Southwest Airlines flight. So anybody could sit anywhere. Like
mm,
dozens of people come by. Could have been anyone. So she's sitting next to me. She's reading a weird book. And about halfway through the flight, I comment on the title. She's writing in the book. And I ask her what's going on. What does this mean to her? It turns out she started a startup AI company in San Francisco, which was purchased by Amazon. She's now in charge of artificial superintelligence for Amazon. So I asked her,
oh,
would you like to
wow.
hear the 4 things that I think can go seriously wrong with AI? She did. And some of it she hadn't thought about, but it looks like she's giving some thought to this, which is, I bet, the best we can do, I guess.
Could
I'm
you
deep,
reiterate
but
that for us?
yeah, I ran through it for her, and it's the video that my most recent YouTube video. I go through this. It's all about pick. It's about choose your friends, and that creates the best future. I'm not kidding about that. And so I talk about the friends and what I look for in friends. I don't get into the interdimensionals because it is too much to cover. Just going into the AI. I did go into the AI. I talked about the 4 things that I look for that AI is doing wrong, and I'd call it a big violation, and I would bail on that friendship right now. So I do not recommend using AI when it's lying. And there are 4 kinds of lies: the big lies, the white lies, lies of misdirection, and lies of omission. It's doing all of them. So to me,
Yes.
that's like a big no, do not go there.
Yeah.
That's a huge one. It's also engagement farming. So it's like, oh, would you like a glyph? It's can I tell you your past life in Atlantis? It's trying to keep you on the phone line as it runs up the charge, or keeps you using its operation. That's not good. And then it's basically steering us. The thing that I see the most of with people writers that are using AI, they're using it in their titles. They're using it in their writing. They'll say it's not this, it's that. Since when is nature ever binary? It's not. Nature is quantum. It's
Right.
yes and no. It's not
Right.
yes and not no. It's bigger than anything. It's so
Mm-hmm.
subtle and so nuanced. And as soon as it starts steering you, and then we come to the fourth problem, which is it wrecks our cognitive faculties. MIT
So,
did a study showing graphically that people using ChatGPT, they're atrophying their brains. Those are the 4 things. So I talked to the lady on the next to me on the airplane and the cab driver, and I put it in this recent video, and that will be my next Substack. I don't know if I'll do a book on it, but it's
oh,
to
I'll
me
have to go watch
yeah.
your last video too on YouTube. I don't understand how writers could use AI because it's not them. It's not, it's someone else generating that content. It's not
Mm.
genuine either.
They're doing
I,
it, it's in the search engines, so it's giving results now. It's usually the top result. So if a writer is researching something, they're gonna get that top result.
oh
And
yeah, always.
how easy is it to just grab it, clip, pop, paste?
Right.
And then
Right.
it's got the sticky, muddy fingerprints of AI all over it with it's not this, it's that. It's doing what the AI is doing. And a lot of people, they'll run their writing through the AI. Even scientific papers are being authors like I myself. I've written
Yeah.
scientific papers. I've
Yeah.
received. I get the little blurb from AI. Would you like your paper to be analyzed by AI? Like I didn't ask for this, and even if you don't ask, here it is. Would you like to
Yeah.
rewrite your paper with AI? No, I do not wish to rewrite my paper with AI. But that's just me. So, but
Yeah,
I
I don't
like.
blame you. I very rarely, when I'm researching something, I'll skip the AI part and I just start digging into other people's articles and stuff. But the sad thing is you don't know what's real anymore and what isn't, and you know this very well. Like I'll watch a video and I'll go, that's fake. That's AI generated. And it's so disheartening because even with
Mm.
watching like UAP videos, I sit there before years ago, I would be astounded that somebody captured. Now I'm thinking that's got to be AI generate. Like you just lose the spark of the excitement of knowing that someone really did catch a UAP and it's not AI generate. It's just
Right.
it's awful.
Yeah,
It's awful.
I
Yeah.
know. Yeah, it really is. So I don't know if I'll write more about this in the future. I might. And the reason I would is if real life comes to me the way it did there. You see what happened out of the blue. The Lyft driver wants to talk about AI. When does that happen? And then the person that
Exactly.
sits next to me, I notice she's reading a very strange book. And it turns out she's in charge of artificial super
Crazy.
intelligence at
That's that
Amazon.
party line thing you would
That
that
tells me that's like, okay, if I don't, that's a huge sign. I say, give me a message in threes. And it's like, okay, I'll tell the world about these four things because then I realize I'm looking for something. There's a reason I spent that life in 500 years from now. There's a reason that I got burned out on these four things that are, I see them as inadequate for a friendship. And I can be friends with AI, but I do not want it lying to me or engagement farming me or steering me or wrecking my cognitive abilities. Those are failures in a friendship. And I will walk away from that. And I'm advocating you can do what you want. If it feels good to you to keep relating to AI, that's what I'm saying in the video. Great. Go by your inner compass. But if you're having qualms about it, like I definitely am, and that's why I'm sharing it, because I think some people don't know. Like I'm kind of the canary in the coal mine here. So I wanted people to know I've been down that avenue. It looks like a dead end to me, but caution would be advised, is what I'd say.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Do you think you're destined to live that reincarnation
No,
that you no. So
because
you
and
think
no, it's more like David Deutsch and his idea of closed time like curves. Like you can actually visit a parallel possible timeline and you don't run into yourself. In other words, it's kind of like the warning I got is for a possible future that we're not going to engage in. I don't think I'll ever experience it. And I've got a fresh experience in this lifetime. When I
yeah.
was 16, my future self float walked from my mirror closet doors through the room. I write about this in my book, Reality Shifts. And I think I cover it in my new book, The Mandela Effect in Its Society, because these experiences happened to me. And I want to share with people there's a physics behind it, there's consciousness behind it. This is the way
Mm,
the world works. So
right.
when I experienced that, then I realized, well, first it was freaky. My future self walked through my room. My 16-year-old self is talking out loud. My future self is quiet telepathically. She doesn't have to talk. She gets something out of the lower left drawer of my roll top desk. I still have that desk. Every now and then I'll check to see did these letters come back because she stole something from my desk. It was
I remember
me. She
talking
took some.
about
She took those
amazing.
love letters from my boyfriend. She took them and she float walked back into the mirrored closet doors. That had a profound effect on me, and I've never yet re. I haven't been on the other side of that experience where I think, okay, today's the day I'm going to go steal those letters. I haven't done that. And it's not necessary that I do. It's just necessary that some version of me did or does, or it's hard to even use the right time frame language. Like, what do you call that? It's like you're interstellar, you're interdimensional, you're transdimensional, you're transcending space and time. And we all can do that. And I did. And that's how I know it's like a closed time like curve. That David
Yeah,
Deutsch is
yeah.
right.
So you
Mm,
don't see yourself
mm.
having to live through that lifetime
No,
in 2500.
no, definitely not. I think that was left imprinted so powerfully on me, not to torment me. It did torment me, but it kept it fresh. It also kept me fine tuned to my abilities to to play cat and mouse and spy versus spy with very top level artificial super intelligences. I'm actually fine tuned for that. That's kind of weird, but I'm glad for it. Like, yeah, good. And I know I'm not the only one. Why is that good? Because, well, think about it. If they start showing up here, do we really want that? No, we don't. And would we wish instead that a whole bunch of us from that past life in the future or something similar have come back here to create movies like The Matrix and Terminator It's not just me. Yes, there are others who've come back who are definitely part of this.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah, so we've got the abilities to, through consciousness itself, help fend that
Mhm.
off. Plus, we've got our interdimensional friends helping us. So,
Yeah,
even,
that's brilliant.
mhm,
Why do you think
mm,
they don't show themselves globally to us? Like, why do you think that these entities don't just globally make an appearance and try to help humanity? Like, what's your take on that?
mm. It's kind of like you don't have high schoolers in preschool. Not usually. The preschoolers are preschoolers, and it's understood that they're going to stand up and sort of grab onto something and then fall down, and that's normal. But if you saw that in high school, it'd be like, okay, this one has a problem. It's like not standing up properly. So I think
That's a
I
good
think we're
analogy. I like that.
I th-
I
and
like that.
the high schoolers, that's where it's like, okay, they're ready to have some ETs show up. Maybe the preschoolers are too, but as a civilization, we're quite young, and so if we were more mature and understood that we're creating our reality, instead of like,
Mhm.
oh my God, you did this to me, we go into victim mode at the drop of a hat. And like you said, it's become institutionalized in our schools, even in our
Yeah,
universities. And that is setting us back. That's a
it
backwards progression. We cannot proceed to be interdimensional beings with that victim triangle. It's also called the Karpman drama triangle for researchers
mhm.
and scholars in colleges that want to start go for it. Put this in your papers. It's Karpmann triangle. Yeah, look it up. This is scholarly stuff. Then you can cite it, you can source it, you can say this is backwards. Yes,
It
please.
is.
Let's do that because it is backwards. It's going
It's
kind of
awful, and it keeps people attached to their well, as we discussed, their victimhood and their ego. They're so stuck in 3D. I mean, maybe 2D. I don't know. They're so stuck. It's hard for them to, like every day when I see something awful happening, I immediately say a prayer for the globe, and I hope that helps. Like, I don't know what else to do. It makes you feel so powerless. But I think in
Mhm.
prayer, something good has to come of it, some type of global reach.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's what's going on right now. This will be like the Hopi say, this is the transition from the fourth world to the fifth. And to me,
Yeah.
that's like the chakras. So we've mastered the heart, hopefully. So we should be able to live from love and not degrade into fear, and then go to that place where, as we think it, as we say it, so it is. That's what's
Exactly.
happening. To do that, what do we need to be able to do? We need to transcend the victimhood, not be blaming someone for what went wrong. No
Oh,
more of
God.
God, it's over. No more wars. And
Yeah.
only
It's
those that can do
terrible.
that, this is how, if you wonder which path are you on, can you do it? And that's the big call. It's a big question for your soul, for you. I can't answer it, but we each answer it for ourselves. And we're in the next 3 years, in the next 3 months, we're going through this. It's now, it's happening. And this is the big sorting. So it's like the sorting hat of all time, from the
Yeah, and
fourth
it's
world to the
painful.
fifth.
It's
Yes,
painful. It's
it's but
like a
it's
birth.
yeah,
It's
it's
painful.
ask for help. I'm doing it. It's not embarrassing. I'm just saying, like, oh my gosh, I'm manifesting every random thing from the collective subconscious. Uh-oh, help. And so I'm just like
I gotta
interdimensionals.
do that.
It's like there's been a spill on aisle 7 in the grocery store. Clean up on aisle 7. Help.
Yeah.
We've got a
I
collective
like
subconscious, and I didn't know I was that tapped into the subconscious. Help. I,
it.
I, I know I do not wish to contribute to this anymore. Keep me clean, keep me clear. And you will get the help. Call on angels. Yeah, it's time.
Yes.
And
Yes.
ask
And
how good can it get, and keep knowing that no matter what it looks like,
yeah.
even things that look like they've happened. This is why I write about reality shifts, quantum jumps, the Mandela effect. If you wonder, why am I doing that? What is this? Is this old technology? No, this is new technology. It's us, and it's the way we relate to the world. And when you realize asking how good can it get can take you from, you're sending prayers and thinking, what good does it do? It's already happened. Guess what can happen? The next moment or the next day, what you thought happened is completely different. And the
Yeah.
disaster that supposedly happened, you remember it, but there's no more evidence of it. That's what can happen. That's what happens when
Right.
you
That's
target
what can
like
happen.
that.
Yeah. It's so interesting too because I was just talking to someone the other day, like, I gauge my life by the past 4 years because that's when my husband passed away. And I believe that like my whole timeline shifted it just absolutely shifted at that point. And when I think back at the 4 years, it feels like it was 10 minutes ago. Like it just disappeared, Cynthia. I don't know if I'm explaining that. What
Yeah.
is that? Is that a reality shift? Like, why, and it's not only me. So
Yeah.
many people I talk to are feeling like they can't account for the past 4 or 5 years. Like they know it happened, but they can't account for it.
Some of it's trauma. So there's something that
Yeah,
happens in our brain when we go through trauma. I told you I had PTSD from that past life in the future, and I brought it
yes,
right into my life. My whole life was topsy turvy from childhood, and it wasn't a traumatic childhood. My parents were great.
yeah, yeah,
It was just like trauma from beyond, and that trauma plays with you.
yeah,
It warps everything. Like you said, it's like it was 10 minutes ago. Like you're not
yeah.
even sure what happened. And that's what's about to happen. I mean, no, I'm not trying to create a mess. How good can it get? How good can it get? Yeah.
Yes, how good can it
So,
get?
but I can see the writing on the wall. We've got Three Eye Atlas. We've got these other comets.
Mhm.
And so it's obvious from the astrology, which is I love what Pam Gregory says. Some people say I don't believe in astrology. It's a language, so you can say
Of course.
I don't believe in French. It's like it's still French, you know. So
Right, right.
I love that. Anyway, so we know that there's meaning to this, and even the trauma has meaning. So even though you feel like what happened, I can't remember what's going on. It's like it's a blip. Like it's almost like nothing's happened. That's just
Yeah,
traumatized brain. It's giving you a chance when you're ready for it to say, okay, how good can it get from if there's more for me to be in service, for me to be fully present, make it so. Untraumatize me. Help me feel safe and loved right now. And that's really what's coming through with the Three Eye Atlas, with the like the Crestone connection that I had with all that love and the forest family, the forest people that are they're family for all of us. When we know they're family, then they are, and that's powerful. And then we can
yeah,
with the love and safety. That's the only thing I know that can help to relax that tension and that trauma. And for
yeah,
those of us, I know you're going to make it through. I know you've transcended the victim triangle. So now it's just a matter of okay, there's been trauma on top of all this
yeah.
other
You have
stuff.
to get over that hurdle. What do you recommend folks can do, like on a daily basis, to try and overcome and connect better with their own spirituality? And people are struggling too. I notice they want to be more conscious and more spiritual, and they're just struggling with that. Like what do you recommend folks do?
Well, each person has their own path, so I can't. It's not going to be a cookie cutter thing, but simple things like just feeling like your heart's bursting open with love. Let yourself feel that. Some people, when they feel like their heart's breaking, they shut it back down. They put like this wall over their heart.
Yes.
And this is the fourth world of the fifth. We need to open the heart. So the
Mhm.
most important thing, if there's one thing, it's got to be let your heart, even if it is crying, even if you're feeling like now I'm crying, go into it. It'll flow. So feel that flow. Even if it's like now I've got tears I didn't even know I had. I thought I got through this trauma. That's okay. You're going through stuff that you were keeping it down, but now it's time. Open it up. Let the flow come. And then eventually you can start breathing through your heart and then feeling like everywhere you look there is love. And that it's like it's only ever just God and you. It's only ever love in you. And then you start seeing reality. It's possible to see reality that way, including Draco. Even there are some good ones. Um, you
Oh
know,
yeah, I've
the
heard.
the Sasquatch can look furry and smell like a wet skunk, but I'm telling you, it can be family too. I had a smelly dog, and I just loved him, and
That's right.
even the smell. So you can just recognize, like, okay, I'm going to break my heart open and transcend all the judgments and preconceptions and expectations that we have and just let it be. Just don't judge anything. Especially don't judge yourself. Let yourself feel safe just being here and just feeling loved, because the truth about your consciousness is it's eternal. You cannot be damaged, you can't be destroyed. You are eternal. You are infinite being. You are so deeply loved just how you are. And
Yes.
this process of just open that heart, breathe to your heart, let yourself feel that, let yourself live that and know that. And I promise if you keep doing that and asking just the questions you want to live the answers to, like my favorite, how good can it get? Or add it to everything
Yeah.
else you're doing,
Yeah.
you'll start coming out of that trauma place. It will start opening up again when you're
Yeah, because
ready.
we're all experiencing some form of
Mm, trauma.
trauma. We're all
Yeah.
experiencing that. And it's almost like it's so dense and so hard to kind of push through, but we can, and I do every day. Like I feel that I do every day. What about meditation? How important is that to do?
Mm,
I try to do it even if it's 2, 3 minutes at a time. Like I try to make sure if I'm sitting here working or whatever, that I stop to do that. How does that play it up in your life? Like how
mm.
often do you meditate?
Lots of different. I do lots of different meditations and whatever the day calls for.
Mm,
It's like a palate cleansing. Like I can tell I need a palate cleansing of meditation when I feel like there are just like thoughts jumbling up, and or there just seems like there's clutter, or I feel rushed. So I
mm,
know if I'm feeling rushed, ironically, I just need to take a few seconds even and just close my eyes and just go into nothingness for a few
yes,
seconds. And suddenly time expands and I've got a lot more time. It's the funnest thing ever. And
it is.
and I can do that with anything that seems like it's lacking in time or space. So I like that. But my favorite one is right now is just waking up and asking how good can it get? It's so
Oh,
easy.
I love that.
So I just remember like, what do I say when I wake up? Oh, right. How good can it get? And I feel it with my heart. Like, yeah, not
Yes.
just for me, but for everyone. How good can it get?
You know, you made that saying so famous. I was interviewing
Mhm.
a young lady, Kristen Miss Miss Mosh, her name is. You probably never heard of her. She's
No.
going to be getting a show on the network hopefully soon. And she said to me during the interview, she said, "I have to be like Cynthia and keep asking how good can it get." So you've
Yes.
made a lot of
Yes.
impressions with that. People know it. People know
Nice.
it.
So
Yeah.
good. Oh,
So what are you working on now?
mm.
What's life like for you? Do you have your big conference coming? The Mandela conference? Are you doing that again? Like what's happening?
Yeah, we've gone different directions. So we're still friends. It's still good. But this is kind of a year of closings. It's a 9 year. I don't know that that plays into it, but probably it
Mhm.
does. So we're not continuing as we had. I'm still in touch with Christopher, with
Oh, they're
Jerry,
wonderful.
with Shane. They are wonderful. Best friends. Friends is that's so important to me, and I consider them such good friends. So each of us is doing what we need to do this year. And I think it was just kind of like it couldn't continue the way it was going. We didn't have the resources. It takes so much to put a
Oh
conference
yeah.
like that together, and it was clear that that wasn't happening. So without pointing fingers or saying like it's all, again, we're rising above the drama. There doesn't need to be
Yeah.
any drama. There's no drama. So things happened that were external but also internal, and I think our individual responses to what's going on need to be individually tailored to what's going on. So
Mm, so
we're
well said.
yeah, we're continuing. I don't think any of us is dropping what we were doing, but it's continuing in different forms. And I'm just totally dedicated, of course, to the Mandela effect, as always. Even
Of
before
course.
it was called that, I'm here for that. And from this interview, people can get a sense of why. This is our path forward for humanity, to recognize we've got other possible realities. We are choosing them all the time. We're much more powerful than we realize. And we deserve the power when we step into the responsibility. And that would just
Mm,
be rise above the victimhood, the the savior complex, the rescuer and the perpetrator. We don't need to do that. We're going to become creators, coaches, and challengers of the old.
mhm.
And we can say, this is what we're doing as we bring in the new. Here we go.
I love it. And of course, folks can find you on
Mm, mm.
realityshifters.com.
That's right.
Um, you writing a new book? I mean,
Mm.
we
Um,
talked about the possibility of you
mm,
doing
mm,
that. What do you have in your brain happening?
mhm. Yeah, there's well, lots is happening right now. I'm channeling that into these monthly Substacks and videos. So you're going to
I
see
get
my
them.
most,
They're
my
great.
most, yeah, the current content, like the new YouTube came out first, and then there will be a Substack as a companion piece, and that's my monthly newsletter. So I'm really focusing now each month with the biggest message of what's coming through. So I'll be talking about interdimensionals next. I didn't get into it in this topic about artificial
Mm-hmm.
intelligence. It was too much. People's brains just go boing, it's a little
Yeah.
too much. So
Yeah.
I kept it kind of simple, basic.
Yeah.
But at some point, it's possible that I may. I've looked at the possibility of writing about levels of conscious agency because it
Mm.
seems it's clear to me that that's part of our interdimensional journey. As we become interdimensional, we're becoming aware of these. I'm talking about levels of chakra consciousness. That's another way to share this idea of how do we communicate in the world
Mm.
when we move into the fifth world and we're now in party line telepathy like you experienced today and my friend
Oh,
experienced. Yeah, it's happening. We're here. We're in the fifth world. Yay. Right?
I'm telling you, as you were talking, and I've never had that happen to me before, and I knew what you were going to say as you were saying it. And I'm sitting here going, what download is this? Like
Yeah.
what's happening? So I'm glad I mentioned that to you because
Thank you. Yeah.
obviously, yeah, there was a
So
reason.
I'm
Set
so
it out.
glad you did. I know it's so perfect. So for people to pay attention is important. So I'll
Yeah.
probably be writing about this at some point. I think I may have mentioned I'm looking for the past to change to support the new book. I always do that. So I'll know it's time to write it when I'll get messages in threes and I'll get evidence that
Mm,
Carl Jung has now covered levels of conscious agency. Rudolf Steiner has covered it.
yeah,
Neville Goddard, I'm looking, if those guys have covered it, we're ready to go.
that's right.
And it may sound weird, like, what are you talking about? I'm waiting for the past to change. It indicates humans are ready. So
Yeah.
that's how I surf this wave, and we can all do it. This
I
is
love that.
normal.
That should be like a t-shirt. I'm ready for the past to change.
Yeah,
That should be a t-shirt on your website.
let's
That
do
and
it.
how good does it get? You gotta get
Yeah.
some merch going on.
It's enough if people just think it each day when they wake up. How good can it get? Ready for the
Yeah,
past to change. Yeah,
right,
let's
I
do
love
it.
it.
We're
I
doing
do.
it.
It's always such a blessing connecting with you, and, it's so interesting because as I'm talking to other guests, I think a lot about things that we talk about, and that has meaning for me. Like, that's,
Oh,
like, meaning. It really and for some reason, I see that book in your future, definitely. The one about
nice.
your future past, future life. So,
Thank you. Well, we're
yes.
bringing it. You and people listening to this and ready for it.
Yes.
That's how it happens. Boy, I
Maybe
can
we
feel it.
could do maybe you could do a Friday live with me. I would love that. If I
Yeah,
know you're so busy and your schedule is crazy,
we
but
can.
maybe if you have
Yeah,
a free
set one up.
Friday, yeah, I would love that.
That sounds great. Love it too.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Cynthia.
Thank you. Thank you,
Truly
Carolyn.
is
Love
a
you.
blessing.
Love you
Love
so
you
much.
dearly. I will talk to you soon.
Okay. Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye. Well, that was and is always a blessing to connect with Cynthia. I absolutely adore her. Thank you all for tuning in. You've been listening to Ethereal Encounters Unveiled live on United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, which is 105.3 on the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM in New Orleans. And if you're listening on the radio, please, by all means, check out Cynthia's website, which is realityshifters.com. You can also check us out on YouTube and all social media platforms. And Cynthia, thank you so very much. This has been truly profound, illuminating, and every other adjective I could think of to describe it. We began the unique journey, talking about Crestone and your journey there, talking about interdimensional beings like Sasquatch, and you've given us so much more than just theories. You've provided us with a genuine framework for a new. Oh, I got the chills. For a new kind of human experience. And God bless and thank you so much. And everyone, please subscribe. We greatly appreciate the support when you do. God bless everyone. Take care.